Grab your smartphone for a second and just look at it. There is a very good chance the tiny components inside that device traveled through something like 40 different countries before it finally landed in your hands. I mean, just think about that for a second. Getting a product from raw materials buried in the ground all the way to you requires a massive, complex, and just highly coordinated effort. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving headfirst into this invisible engine of global commerce, supply chain management. We're going to break down exactly how it works, what the moving parts are, and what keeps the whole thing running smoothly. Okay, let's start with a textbook definition, just to ground us. Supply chain management, or SCM, is the dynamic management of supply chain operations to maximize customer value and achieve a sustainable competitive advantage. Basically, it involves optimizing absolutely everything, from procuring the raw materials to delivering the final product. But let's make this a bit more relatable. Imagine a toy factory. SCM isn't just the physical factory itself, right? It's the master plan. It's the overarching strategy for finding the raw plastic, building the toys efficiently, and making sure they actually hit store shelves exactly when customers are ready to buy them. Here is our quick roadmap for today. First, what is SCM? Second, the core SCM process. Third, SCM versus logistics and warehousing. Fourth, navigating uncertainty. And finally, technology and ERP and SCM. All right, section 1, what is SCM? Let's take a macro view. You can really think of SCM as a giant umbrella covering a massive set of interconnected business activities. Under this canopy, SCM isn't just one isolated task. It covers a bit of everything, from high-level management and analysis to logistics, procurement, distribution, and even tracking time to market and profit margins. It's basically tasked with harmonizing all these totally distinct elements of production to optimize efficiency, cut down costs, and, at the end of the day, maximize the overall experience for the customer. Now, before we go any further, we absolutely have to clear up a really common misconception. People mix up a supply chain with supply chain management all the time, but they are distinctly different things. A supply chain is the actual physical network of facilities and resources. We're talking the physical factories, the shipping containers, the trucks on the highway. Supply chain management, on the other hand, is the active process that synchronizes all those physical components. It's the active coordination of that entire network, from raw materials to finished goods, to ensure customer demand is actually met. Moving on to section 2, the core SCM process. Let's see how these gears actually turn. So the SCM process is essentially a continuous linked loop. It starts with plan, establishing goals, objectives, and figuring out where the risks are. Then it moves to source, which is all about finding and negotiating with the right suppliers. From there, you make the product, deliver it, handle any potential returns, and locate goods along the way. This loop oversees the constant movement of goods from their literal creation all the way to a potential customer return. It is a totally fluid, never-ending cycle designed to keep a company's global network humming along. And to keep that loop spinning without a hitch, you've got 4 main functions at play. First up is purchasing. This is where a business figures out what it actually needs and fires off orders to suppliers. Second is logistics, which guarantees those materials actually show up on time. Third is resource management, synchronizing everyone from the manufacturer down to the end consumer. But here's the kicker. The absolute lifeblood of this entire operation is the fourth function, information workflow. If the different parts of an SCM system can't communicate and share data in real time, the whole system just collapses. Information is literally the glue holding the physical materials together. Section 3, SCM, logistics, and warehousing. Let's untangle these terms. So how do these 3 actually differ in scope and focus? Let's bring back our toy factory analogy to make sense of this. Think of SCM as the broadest category. It's the master plan covering everything from sourcing the plastic to selling the toys. Logistics is a crucial but smaller piece working inside SCM. It's the specific plan for moving those toys from the factory to the stores, managing all those trucks and cargo ships. And then warehousing is an even more specific piece of logistics. It's the actual physical space where the toys are temporarily stored, packed, and propped for shipping. They kind of nest inside each other, like Russian dolls. Section 4, navigating supply chain uncertainty. Because, as we know, things rarely go exactly to plan. So how do companies fight uncertainty in these wildly complex networks? Well, first, they have to combat something called the bullwhip effect. This is a crazy phenomenon where a tiny shift in customer demand causes massive, chaotic ripples all the way back up the supply chain, which leads to late deliveries and taking a huge financial hit.
To stabilize that chaos, a lot of professionals adopt the Japanese philosophy of Kaizen to enhance lean manufacturing. Kaizen is built on teamwork, personal discipline, enhanced morale, quality circles, and actively soliciting suggestions. It's all about continuous internal improvement. By fine-tuning these human and operational elements internally, companies build up a really robust resilience against that bullwhip effect and other external shocks.
Finally, Section 5, Technology and ERP in SCM. Let's look at the digital brain behind the operation.
When you integrate an enterprise resource planning or ERP software system into your supply chain, it is an absolute game changer. An ERP system basically consolidates all these incredibly complex cross-border operations into one single dashboard. By perfectly matching supply with demand, this tech automates your workflows, eliminates silly human errors, drastically cuts costs, optimizes inventory, and ultimately keeps customers coming back. It gives managers this incredible real-time macro view of the entire global operation so they can make fast, accurate decisions.
And the specific roles in ERP plays are just vast. For supply chain planning, it ensures your production matches demand for just-in-time replenishment. In purchasing and procurement, it literally automates the communication with your global suppliers. For delivery, it logs and tracks all the shipping processes and automatically generates invoices the second a product leaves the dock. And for monitoring, it's tracking the vital flow of both physical materials and digital info in real time. Basically, you can say goodbye to endless spreadsheets and manual data entry. This is one intelligent, automated brain running the show.
Which brings us to a really fascinating thought to wrap up this explainer. Following the massive disruptions of COVID, businesses everywhere fundamentally shifted from physical offices to remote work-from-home models. And this shift has triggered an absolute skyrocketing demand for ERP software and supply chain transparency. Why? Because you can't manage physical goods in person if your entire management team is sitting at home in their sweatpants, right? So I want to leave you with this question to chew on. As workforces remain decentralized, how will global supply chains continue to adapt and evolve? The invisible engine of commerce is literally being rewired right before our eyes, and technology is firmly holding the steering wheel. Thanks so much for joining me to explore this, and keep questioning how the world around you works.